Randall Hughes with GodGlorified.com, and we're reading from the Reese Chronological Bible in the King James Version. And we're commenting on today's reading for March the 30th. And we started today with Judges chapter 2 and then read chapter 10 and a good portion of 11 for today's reading. The portion from Judges, I don't know that I fully agree with Reese's placing here. I believe that the angel of Yahweh came up from Gilgal to Bochim in the time of after Joshua's death. And so I'm not sure why he placed that there, but that's where he placed it in his 1977 edition. So anyway, I probably will not, I don't know how many times I'll disagree with Reese. This is actually probably the first time I'm systematically going through his Bible. I've used it for years for hit and miss stuff, saying that this is when this happened or whatever, and to truly, and I've read portions, but not quite as systematically as we're doing right now. And so we learn of the various kings, the various cities that Joshua fought and how the Lord discomfited them. And this is where God allowed the sun to stand still to give them time to fight their enemies. And it's also where God casts great stones down from heaven. I probably hadn't thought about this until just now, but there's times they talk about various stones in places. They're going, this is so huge, this is so big, I wonder where it could have come from and how it could have been moved. And granted, I don't know how it would have been moved if as large as these may have been, but maybe that's the source of some of these from the time when God fought for Israel and rained stones. And so the other thing that is interesting here is in chapter 10, verse 24, after they brought the five kings out of the cave, that he commanded the captains of the men of war to come near him and to put their feet on the necks. And so when you read the verse in Psalm 110, when it says, till I make thine enemies thy footstool for thy feet, kind of gives you a little more contextual meaning of what that looked like. This was apparently the common practice was we've defeated them. They're not going to be a problem for us again. Never, because they are under our feet. And that's where Satan is. Satan is under our feet through the promises, through the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ and the promises of his word. Satan is a defeated foe. He has no power over you unless you surrender it to him, unless you choose to give it to him. And so he has absolutely no power. He is under our feet. And we need to remind him of that as frequently as possible so that it not just reminds him, but reminds us. There's times I think that we live well below the means that God has given us and the authority that he's placed in us through his sacrifice, through his blood, through his name. It's available. It's ready for us to use. It's just up to us to be willing to call upon that, or up to us to defend the territory he's given to us, because he's given us the ability to defend it. And so much of what we're having is just that the northern campaign, some of the victories here. And according to Reese, these could have taken place over a period of about 5 years. Some of this would have began in 1422 and may have gone into 1416 BC. Some of the conquest of some of these events. Some of them sound like they happened at the same time. We don't know how much time elapsed in between the various battles. But at any rate, that's some of the timing is how Reese provides it. And it's interesting to consider. So anyway, I pray that it's a blessing to you and that you will live victorious over Satan. Do not allow him out from under your feet. Because as Jesus said in Luke chapter 10, he's given you the power to tread on serpents and scorpions. I don't necessarily believe that that's talking about handling snakes. I believe it's talking about you have power over Satan. And so same thing with Mark chapter 16. I don't believe it's talking about handling snakes. It's talking about we have power over Satan. So you should correlate whether you want to tie it to this verse in Joshua with Luke 10 and with Mark 16. That would be up to you, but I certainly see a correlation of all these, Satan being under our feet and him being the serpent that is defeated. God bless you in Jesus' name. That concludes our comments for March the 30th.